Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Oh boy, another surge of truth is manifesting as we speak. It comes in waves, just like the rain. You can probably hear the rain in the background, pitter-pattering on the roof. I'm not sure how hard it's going to rain, so we'll, play it by ear, I guess, because when it rains here in Arkansas, it rains and it gets loud, and you probably won't even be able to hear me if the rain picks up. But we'll do the best we can. If we get rained out, I'll just pause for a bit, let it pass, and then we can continue. But oh boy, if you were in the chat earlier, we dropped some bombshells, and it's actually pinned in the chat comment here, about information and truth that just got dropped on us by the Holy Spirit. Nothing is random in these movie scripts, and I'm starting to wonder if many of these movie scripts weren't generated by an artificial intelligence, which of course would be run by the enemy, right? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? We'll share a bunch of that tomorrow on tomorrow's show, because it will fit better with the theme of tomorrow's show rather than today's show. Because today's show, I want to get in between the headlines. We'll also talk about a time travel movie, brand new time travel movie called Lola. I don't want to overwhelm you guys. When this stuff hits me, I try to break it up into shows that relate to whatever theme we're talking about, so you don't get overwhelmed. I know that yesterday's show was pretty overwhelming, and it takes a while to absorb these things. This is why I don't go on and on for hours and hours, just because I try to get the information focused and communicated as clear as possible, and try to do a good job relating the information. We are going to talk about AI today because, as many of you don't know, Trump actually passed an artificial intelligence executive order in 2019, just before the pandemic. We'll talk a little bit about that today. But good morning, everybody. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, first, I want to follow up on yesterday's show about Tesla's, we're going to start calling this Wardenclyffe Tower, because this is a very weird place. This was Nikola Tesla's laboratory, built in 1901 by Stanford White. And if you missed yesterday's show, you definitely need to see that, because it solves some of the mysteries of Tesla's 369 number. We believe we were many steps closer to solving what he meant when he said 369 is the secret to the universe. We also talked about the death beam and the proximity of this laboratory to Brookhaven National Laboratory, which I believe was the origin of the directed energy weapon that turned metal into dust, which is what Tesla's death beam was able to do. Right next door to this lab is a 9/11 memorial in the shape of an eyeball with a beam in it. So we decoded and broke all that down yesterday on yesterday's show. Very important show. But today we're going to follow up on that show, because I looked up this individual who designed Tesla's lab, Stanford White. Now, this Stanford White individual was a weird person. Very strange story. I pulled him up here in Wikipedia. And the fate of this guy was very bizarre. He was actually murdered for drugging another man's wife. The guy then found him in like a theater and killed him very publicly. The guy who killed him then got off on an insanity plea. He actually got away with it. But what I want you to notice about the man who built Wardenclyffe Tower, the laboratory next to it, Look at when he was born, and look at when he died. 11/9, 119, and he died 88 days after the 88th day of the year. That is when he was killed. Weird, right? All the same numbers of the area surrounding this whole Wardenclyffe Tower, the lab, the memorial, the 119 zip code of Brookhaven, and the 88 number, which is that portal number. Like I say, you guys, nothing is by accident. All this stuff fits together like a puzzle. Now, that was a follow-up on yesterday's show. Let's get into this film about time travel. There's another 88 day right there in the movie. March 29th, the 88th day of the year. Add 88 more days and you get to June 25th. What is going on here? Well, obviously we're finding things that nobody else is picking up on. We're finding patterns that no one else is seeing. What is this movie about? Well, it takes place in the 1940s. And there are two sisters who make a time machine. And they name it Lola after their mother. And at first they use it to make money by looking into the future to predict events that haven't happened yet. But also, they end up using it to save lives during World War II by warning Europe about planned bombings. This is one of the first scenes, the date March 29th, the time travel number. Let's take a look at this film in these first couple scenes here. I couldn't believe it when I...
We were living in another time, and we finally had a reliable source of income.
So this is the scene where the date, the 88th day of the year, flashes, March 29th. We've seen this date appear many times in films, haven't we? 3:29, we saw it on a clock. We saw it in the movie, there's a magician movie, and it appears on a tarot card where they're supposed to meet at 4:44 p.m., which of course is 88 as well.
Remember that car I bought you?
Now, what ends up happening is these two sisters start trying to warn the Allies about the bombings. But they're doing it from a secret location. But of course, because of the time period, the Allies feel upstaged. And so they want to find the sisters. So they try to triangulate their position. And where do they find them? At a natural gas plant. And there we go again with natural gas, methane, the gas of death, which of course we identified as mined out of the ground with helium.
The metal superstructure magnifies her weak radio signal and sends it through the mains into London's pipe networks, which acts as her very own personal antenna.
So they use the natural gas pipes as antenna, and it's all underground. This is unbelievable.
I finally traced the signal source to Shoreham Gasworks. The Angel of Portobello is using the gasometer as a natural transmitter. It explains why her broadcasts are omnidirectional in London. They were coming from the entire gas grid.
Now, they call the sisters the Angel of Portobello because she keeps saving the towns from being bombed by warning the people to go underground when the Nazis come.
She denies everything, of course. Says she uses the gasometer for bird watching.
Bird watching. You can't make this up. We've been talking about the birds. Now, fun fact. We did the Blacklist episode Remember that? And it was about birds and helium and how birds actually flock in the shape of helium gas. They flow like helium gas. And I showed you that story. And also, we talked about the Tesla death beam. Now, here's a weird coincidence because Tesla talked all about helium. Right here. What was Tesla talking about helium? Well, during Tesla's life, they were using hydrogen balloons, which were highly explosive. And Tesla was talking about switching them to helium. Let's read his own words. Nikola Tesla. Why did the naval and other authorities allow such forms of aircraft to use an explosive gas like hydrogen? A short time ago, the press was filled with the wondrous stories of how the U.S. government experts had perfected the manufacture of the new and non-flammable balloon gas, helium, to such an extent that it was very cheap and readily obtainable in quantities. Funny how these new inventions require so long a time to reach the public and those who need them. Helium is extracted from illuminating gas. Was he talking about methane? Is not new or wonderful at all. So, why was he talking about this? Well, helium is not, it won't catch fire, whereas hydrogen does. And of course, in the electric universe, you need something that does not catch fire. He goes on here to talk about sparks being created from radio waves in bales of hay, in the metal parts of the bales of hay. He talks about that in here. And he says that these wires can actually arc and spark from simple radio waves. Let's just read it in his own words. How radio waves, even at distances of several miles, can cause sparks to occur among bales of cotton, baled with wire hoops, is shown in one of the accompanying illustrations. The cotton bale wires have currents induced in them every time a radio message is sent from the ship or in its vicinity. This induced current is practically never strong enough to heat up the wire, but should one of these wires break and form a spark gap, then very often the induced current will cause a spark to jump the gap. That is enough to start a fire. Where wired bales are packed close together in the hold of a steamer, in trains or warehouses, here also radio waves are liable to cause fairly strong electrical oscillations to be set up by resonance in adjacent loops on the bales. So, he's talking about radio waves causing sparks. That would be like a fire, right? I wonder if they're using these, some kind of radio wave weapon to start fires intentionally. Wow. So, this is out of the Tesla universe. I'll put links to all this. But this is what's crazy. Nikola Tesla was born on the same day that liquid helium was created, July 10th. Is this a coincidence? I don't think so. Remember, liquid helium moves like the birds in the sky. Now, let me check in with you guys. We'll keep going with this. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Good morning, everybody. Now, it's very important if you're new to the channel to try to keep up with the daily shows. It's literally 20 minutes out of the day. Otherwise, you're going to be completely lost with the progression of this information because all of it builds on other things. And I'm finding myself in the comments for people that aren't regularly following the channel, I'm finding myself having to defend work we've already done. Let's put it that way. And so, therefore, I spend my time doing that. And it's because people aren't watching the shows and they're just throwing out objections when I've already covered the stuff. So, looks like some of you are buffering. Lots of buffering issues for people. Yeah, they're going to do that. It's just what they're going to do. Hopefully it'll all come through in the end. Some have pics and no sound. Yep, they don't want this covered. Let's see, let's take a look here. Let's give this a minute here and see if it catches up. All right. Buffering. All right. Not everyone has more than one device, unfortunately. Oh, here's what you can do. Change the resolution. So go down to 720 or even 360, and it should help it come through. There's probably stuff going on out there, or they can be artificially doing this to us so that the message doesn't get out. All right, let's keep going with this. Now, in the next scene, let's listen to this part first.
3:15 p.m. I get my first look at their machine, which they call Lola. It's going to change history.
That you can capture radio and television broadcasts from the future. I had to tell him, he said we could be hanged as well.
Don't touch.
Now, as you just heard there, it was kind of hard to hear, but she explains the technology behind this time machine. And what they're doing, and what they say they're doing, is they're catching radio waves from the future as they bounce back. They're picking up on echoes of radio signals from the future. Let me play that back one more time.
He said we could be hanged as well.
Don't touch it.
That you can capture radio and television broadcasts from the future. I had to tell him.
So, as you just heard there, now, it's not only the gas that is the antenna for their time machine, it's also copper pipe. And remember, I told you that copper was what they used for these time machine devices, or whatever they're doing, right? I don't believe it's something they can go back in time. I believe it's a device that transfers demonic spirits into people, which is to them is time travel. So a person goes into a box, and this machine transfers the demonic spirit into their bodies. And then the demonic spirit wakes up and they've time traveled.
He said we could be hanged as well.
Don't touch it.
I couldn't understand how the signal was so dispersed, but I noticed it was stronger in houses with pipe gas. Using the copper pipe gas network as an antenna, that's genius.
Now, obviously, as you saw there, the military finds the sisters and they get involved. And one of the sisters shows the year 1958. From their present time on June 11th, 1940 something, as you can see on your screen. So what do we have here? 611, that's 66, and we have 1958. Those are both Trump time travel numbers, aren't they? Now, again, as I say that, people that are not following the channel will not get that. But if you've been following, you've heard us mention the numbers 58 and 66 probably 200 times. So this is where I'm talking about is if you're not following the channel, you're just going to say, oh, you're just attaching things to him. No, 66 floor penthouse in the 1958 Western called Track Down about a man with an umbrella named Trump who built a wall to save the world. And there's so much more to it.
Who on earth are those diabolical creatures?
Next, you're going to hear Operation Chrono, which of course is Chronos, which is time, Saturn time.
Operation Chrono, 11th of August, 1941.
August 11th, 8/11 is obviously 88. 8 times 11 is 88.
Now tune it to 133 kilohertz. 8th of March.
Then they tune this thing to basically look into the future again. And these girls are basically hyper-focused on David Bowie throughout this entire film, as you heard in the opening of the decode. In fact, one of the sisters, her name is Thomasina, and she shortens it to Tom, Thom, after David Bowie's song where he sings Ground Control to Major Tom. The other sister's name is Mars for short. So the sisters basically take on David Bowie's his punk persona, and they obsess over him in the future. But at one point, when they look into the future, they do not see David Bowie anymore. What was the pivotal year? 1973. Watch.
8th of March.
1973. Let me see. He's not there.
Who?
David Bowie.
Now, the thing about 1973 was it is a date in which something shifted in the timeline. That was the date that the World Trade Center opened, but it's also the Hebrew year 5733. Yes, 1973 is 5733 in the Hebrew calendar. Something shifted in the timeline. Now, that just so happened to be the year I was born, in 73, on the 88th day of the year, March 29th.
Who's David Bowie?
It consists of a system of
But look at this. I want to confirm the 33 for you, because that's what they tuned the machine to look into 1973. Let me play it back for you.
Now tune it to 133 kilohertz.
They tune it to 133 kilohertz to look into the Hebrew year 5733, which is 1973.
8th of March.
8th of March.
1973. Let me see. He's not there.
Who?
David Bowie.
Who's David Bowie?
It consists of a system of electrical processors which filter and amplify even the faintest electromagnetic wave into a coherent signal.
Rescued and championed by the...
So electromagnetic waves, it's all everything we've been talking about, Tesla and all of this. Now the whole plan backfires on the sisters. They're trying to help the Allies, but then they make one mistake, and essentially the Allies accuse them of being Nazi spies. So this sister right here is then rescued by the Nazis, and she, as you just heard her explain the technology, the electromagnetic technology. We talked about this. This was the probable source of this machine that they have. Then the entire world descends into fascism because of this looking glass technology. And they start using pre-crime to then go after people in this world of fascism.
Führer, we say to our enemies, watch out. We know what you're going to do before you even think of it.
So this was actually a top 10 film from last year in Rotten Tomatoes. And hopefully you guys are good here. Yeah, my internet says I have not dropped on the internet, so I don't know why you guys are buffering, but you know, YouTube has controls in place. They'll never let a video like this go mainstream. It's too much truth, breaking down their lies and their matrix, but at least most of you were able to make it today. So that is the decode on the film called Lola. Now, let me check in with you guys. Then we're going to get in between the headlines. There's a couple really important headlines to take a look at this morning. And I'll also give you a sneak peek into tomorrow's show, which is going to be off the rails. All right. Looks like most of you are not buffering anymore. Very good. Okay. Now, is there any part of the broadcast that dropped out I can repeat? Let me just watch in here for a bit. Stream is good for most of you. Okay. All right. Looks like we're back on track. No, Lola is a brand new film. It's just filmed in black and white. And it's about time machines. Yeah. Yeah, let's talk a little about the Honey Milk Ranch just for a minute before we get into these headlines. Let's see. The drip system's in place. It works great. Hasn't been a lot of rain lately. It did finally sprinkle. It just sprinkled. It really never rained hard, but hopefully more waves of rain are coming. The beam is up in place. I showed you guys that a few videos ago. So the beam is up in the living room. It looks awesome, but it's so weird. We just started talking about this beam in the eye, and then I've got a beam in my living room. Like I said, if you just look into your life, it manifests what's happening in reality. It's crazy how it works. You just be still and know that he's God. And all of a sudden, you see everything connected. You see everything, how it connects together. How long were we talking about the beam in my living room before we saw the beam in the eye next to Tesla's laboratory? Wow, unbelievable. Yeah, it's not my internet. My internet's fine. It's something going on your guys' end or YouTube, so you'll just have to rewatch it. Hopefully it didn't pull or drop out any of the parts of the broadcast that were important. I'll watch it back through after the show's over and make sure, and we'll do a follow-up show if we need to. But anyways, that's pretty much what's going on the Honey Milk Ranch. Not much else to report. The weather has cooled down significantly. We're in the 80s now. Life is good out here. And just getting back on track. Uh-oh, some people can't hear me. Might have to refresh. Yeah, YouTube's playing games. Wow, unbelievable. Someone tell them to refresh, please. Let's put it on here. Okay, let's get into some of the headlines today, you guys. I think what YouTube's doing is they're capping the stream, because otherwise we'd have hundreds of people. Now there's like 400 and something people here. Probably going to have to refresh. All right. Yeah, it's got to be YouTube. You'll have to watch it back after the show if you're having problems. All right. Let's keep going. Now, this is really weird. A woman drank too much water and she died of intoxication. Let's listen to this. This is crazy.
We are back now with our GMA cover story and a warning about water toxicity after a woman died after drinking too much water too fast. This morning, we're hearing from her family, and Ariel Reshef has the story. Good morning, Ariel.
Good morning to you, Rebecca. The family says the mother of two was feeling dehydrated, so she did what seemed so logical. She drank a large amount of water.
Now, they say she drank a large amount of water, but how much water did she drink? 2 liters. That's not a lot of water, you guys. That's a 2 liter of soda. But because she did it in 2 minutes, let's just keep watching here.
Trying to replenish her system, but that ended in tragedy, and now they want everyone to know the signs.
This morning, the family of 35-year-old mother of two, Ashley Summers, speaking out to warn others after she passed away over the 4th of July weekend from what doctors told them was water intoxication.
Now you can get intoxicated with water. Now, many of you will remember the stories from years and years ago, probably like 10 years ago. I remember reading these stories of someone who drank like 6 gallons of water or something. There was like a person on a radio show or something. They were doing some kind of water awareness demonstration, and they were like, I'm going to drink all this water. It was gallons and gallons of water. So I could see how that could kill somebody, but not 2 liters.
At one point during the day, she started getting a bad headache. So she was drinking a lot of water.
Ashley's brother saying she was spending the holiday at the lake with her family when she started to feel intensely dehydrated. So she drank the equivalent of 4 16-ounce bottles of water in just 20 minutes.
That's nothing. 4 16-ounce bottles of water and 20. A lot of people do that, right? Wow.
That's the amount doctors say an average adult woman should consume in an entire day.
No. What they've been telling us we're supposed to drink like a gallon or 2 gallons of water in a day.
She felt dizzy and had this headache.
Who's this guy, Jack Black?
Got home. She walked across the garage to go into the house, and she passed out in the garage.
Water intoxication is a rare but dangerous condition caused by drinking too much water too fast, which
What have they been telling us to do for the past 30 years? Make sure you drink enough water. Drink 2 gallons of water a day. Well, what they don't tell you is this could kill you.
Sets the electrolyte balance in the body. It can present with confusion, disorientation, nausea, and vomiting. Doctors say early detection is key.
The general recommendation is, 2 liters of water per day.
No. That's not what they've been saying. They've been saying 1 gallon to 2 gallons of water a day.
On average, per person.
How do I know this? Because their recommendation has always been so much that I was like, nobody can drink that much water. Because I tried it. I'm like, okay, well, they say if you drink this much water, you'll be healthy. And I know a lot of people that drink a whole gallon of water a day. So now they're telling us we're not supposed to? This is unbelievable. Let's keep watching here.
And that's throughout the day. But you also don't want to consume more than 1 liter per hour.
Oh, so she's saying this as if they've always told us this. This is new information, isn't it? They've never put any focus on don't drink it too fast, right? And so there's something going on here. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Why are we only hearing about this now? And is this a side effect of something else completely unrelated? Something that this woman might have taken. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Your body's inability to process normal amounts of water.
Ashley's family now trying to turn her sudden and tragic loss into a life-saving lesson.
If she would have spaced out her water consumption,
All of a sudden, we're supposed to space out our water consumption.
she probably would be.
Wow. So, sad story, if it's even real. Now you're not supposed to drink water. Now, this next story is crazy. We all love otters, don't we? Watch this.
That is Otter This World. Yes, the sea otter making waves in California, going after surfers and even stealing their board.
This otter attack. He's like literally eating the surfboard.
Will Reeve of Santa Monica with the latest for us. Good morning, Will.
Good morning, Michael. The latest is it's an otter stealing people's surfboards. It's unprecedented behavior. The video is quite startling, and now experts are trying to figure out why this is happening.
This morning, as orcas cause trouble for boaters off the...
Could it be the prophecy in Revelation? It talks about animals attacking people who are maybe different, who have maybe been genetically modified by something.
Coast of Spain and Portugal. And in California, great white sharks spotted swimming with humans just feet away. Oh my gosh! A different marine creature is showing highly unusual behavior on the Pacific coast. Wildlife experts urging caution after a series of close encounters where this wild sea otter, dubbed 841, has hijacked and damaged surfers' boards.
I mean, everybody loves an otter, right? They're the cutest little animals. Apparently, the otters are under some kind of... Who knows what's happening here? Is this some kind of, like, frequency control of these animals? Or are the animals responding to something that's different in humans?
It started to get like pretty close to me.
Look at this guy.
I got kind of scared and I hopped off my
And then like the otter like attacked me.
board and then I watched it jump on the board.
And then I tried to pet it and then it like bit my finger.
Noah Wormhout and his friend were looking to catch some waves, but instead catching 841's interest.
Look at it's a surfing otter.
like biting chunks out of the surfboard.
It's like biting
Started
chunks.
paddling with it on the board, and that kind of like forced it to get off, and then
he like caught a wave.
it followed us all the way to the stairs to get back onto the cliff.
841 was raised in
It's like a rabid otter.
captivity and later released into the ocean. Her behavior leaving experts stunned.
Oh, raised in captivity and then released into the ocean. I wonder if they gave him a vaccine.
This is very, very atypical and very rare. Naturally,
Look at this.
they have a strong instinct to avoid us.
Hold on, we got to zoom in on this because I'm laughing so hard I can barely do this show right now. Look at this.
Naturally, they have a strong instinct to avoid us.
The Central California coast waters, which have been home base for most of 841's encounters, are frequented by southern otters. Today, the species is endangered, with only around 3,000 remaining.
Oh, so we have to let them attack us because they're endangered.
A female can grow about 4 feet in length and weigh up to 50 pounds.
Otters have this amazing superpower of cuteness, which maybe disarms human beings, but it's a wild animal. They break through shellfish.
Look
they
at
bite
this
through
thing.
Clams, and they have sharp teeth. A bite from an otter would not be pleasant.
Now a team at the Monterey Bay Aquarium is...
So I think there's some pictures of this lady who got attacked. I don't think they show them here. She's got like scratches all over her. This is crazy, you guys. Something has changed with the animal kingdom. Oh boy. Now we're going to get into some of you upset I don't cover Bo Jivin more. Well, we'll get into Bo Jivin today. He's running the country off of a cliff, of course. Absolutely. But there's more to it because there's this hilarious irony about what Bo Jivin wants to do. Bo Jivin wants everybody to go back to the office. Now, what is the irony of this? Let's go to the story here. Apparently, we're having issues. People aren't able to connect to the stream. Maybe I'll change the stream key or something for the next show, see if that improves it. But crazy. Look at this. White House asks cabinet agencies to aggressively execute return to in-person work. Get back to work. Now, the irony of this is that Biden is a metaphor for an office where nobody's home. Right? Let's read this. He's going to force you back to work. No more working from home. The White House is directing cabinet agencies to bring federal workers back into the office more frequently in the coming months. Now, these people are hypocrites because they're all about climate change. Preserve the climate. Well, guess what? Every person that gets in their car and sits in traffic for hours just to go to an office and turn around and drive back home in a huge air-conditioned building, burning all... Now, I don't believe in all this fossil fuel crap stuff, but according to the way that they rationalize this stuff, and they're thinking, wouldn't it be a lot more efficient for a person just to be staying at home and working from home? They're not burning fossil fuels. They're not clogging up the traffic. Right? But no, they want you to come back to work. Has anyone done a study on what would happen if half of the workforce was able to work from home? And how much less, pollutants were put into the air? Has anyone done any studies on the tons of carbon that would be saved from that? No, they haven't, have they? Because they don't want to. Because it's all a big lie. So, the president is going to force you back to work, even though there's nobody home at the White House. Now, for those of you that don't know, there's enough blame to go around both sides. If you had any doubts, apparently Trump passed this artificial intelligence law. Here it is from whitehouse.gov. AI, this was in 2019. He signed this on Lupercalia. There's 2 dates here, actually. It says Executive Order of the President on Lupercalia, 2019. But then this date says February 11th. Both are right next to Lupercalia. That's the Festival of the Wolf, right? And then the following year, in 2020, Trump signed 5G and beyond, which would enable artificial intelligence. How does that happen? Well, artificial intelligence only works when there's a really good network to share real-time information, so the artificial intelligence can react and respond to the data. Right? So, this is crazy. I'm not going to get into this executive order. It's just enough to know that Trump's all about artificial intelligence. And it's weird. I'm hearing people talk about artificial intelligence as if it's a good thing. It's crazy. Now, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but there was some huge brawl on the riverfront in Montgomery. I think this is Alabama. Let's take a look at this video. This is hilarious. But it's kind of not, because really they're stoking the racial flames here. Let's see if we can find the video of this. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, here it is right here. This is kind of funny. Look at this. Like the music's going on in the background and everything. This is unbelievable. They're calling it Black Aquaman and the Boston Tea Party. So they're trying to put a racial slant on this. Let's keep watching here. Look at this. Damn. What the? Jeez. Oh my goodness. Now, I'm not going to play any more of that. Suffice it to say, there's something controlling these people. This is zombie mind control, some kind of frequency, a signal, and they're trying to stoke a race war. They're returning the dials of the signal. This looks like the flock of birds being controlled by radio waves. This is what this reminds me of. People just wilding out. Now, I know have always been brawls, but there's something different now, isn't there? People have no regard. They know they're being filmed. They know they're going to get in big trouble and lose their property and their freedom, but they just do it anyway. Mind control. Unbelievable. Now, something else weird is going on. There was a mysterious murder-suicide. Yeah, the stream's definitely being capped, isn't it? Something going on. Sorry, you guys. Well, you're gonna. For those of you that are having problems, please tune back in and watch it back through again after the show. I know there's many, many more of you who are trying to get into the show, but YouTube is capping our stream now at like 500 people. That's just what they're going to do now. So this is just what they do. It must be our limit that they're putting on our broadcast now, because it's just too much truth. So now there is this cancer doctor named Crystal Casetta. And what they're claiming is that this little lady here killed her infant and then herself in a murder-suicide. Renowned New York City cancer doctor killed her infant and herself. Now, after watching the Blacklist series, you realize none of this stuff is by accident, and they can easily make someone look like they killed themselves and their infant. Why would a 40-year-old woman do this? A cancer doctor. Now, they're saying that her parents were home at the time of the tragedy, but her husband was away. But they don't tell us where the parents were, what they were doing. They don't tell us any of that. And again, if you watch the Blacklist series, you'll understand they don't care if other people are home. They can still find a way around that, can't they? They can get in and out very quickly. They've showed the scenario dozens of times in the series. It's what Raymond Reddington does. They can make anything look like anything, can't they? So I'm very, very suspicious of this story. Why would it? I mean, this lady doesn't even look like she would own a gun. She was well liked. And what is up with this? I don't know. But I can tell you this. I researched this woman. I tried to find any information I could leading up to this. There are a couple YouTube videos of her. Her name's in the YouTube video of her, like, I forget what it's called, but someone else made the video and then she like reviewed it, a medical review, I guess they call it. That's about all I could find about this woman. And it makes you wonder if she had discovered something about all these new cases of cancer and if she decided to speak out. Now, we have no good search engines anymore, do we? Everything has been censored. So you can't even research people anymore. From the past, you used to be able to type in a date range and find little clues about what that person was doing in their life just before they passed away. And I wonder if any of you were following this woman on social media at all. And in some way, shape, or form, to find out maybe what her latest posts were on her social media, to see if she was trying to give a message out. Now, the weird thing is this woman worked in Queens, a city that we had covered many, many times on this channel as it relates to the current poking going on. What a weird story. I don't believe it. I don't believe this woman killed her child and herself. I just don't believe it. Well, what else is going on? Well, tomorrow we solved the bird box. The bird box is the bird vocal box. It's the syrinx. We're going to break down that discovery as well as the Temple of Syrinx, the song by Rush, the band. And we're going to talk about the speaking serpent from the garden who deceived Eve. I think I'm going to probably cut the show short today so many of you can watch this back. It seems like a lot of you are buffering, but a lot of you aren't. So thanks for those of you that hung in there. We'll stop the show now and then we'll continue tomorrow. I love each and every one of you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Take care and be safe.